This is the first trip of 2023 down in cold Virginia on the Eastern Shore. The game plan today is pretty simple. We're in the middle of a warming trend right now. It's supposed to hit the mid-50s and approach 60 degrees today. The problem right now is that the wind is really blowing pretty hard. So I'm sort of waiting for the sun to get a little bit higher up in the sky and this wind to lay down, which it's supposed to, and get out on a flat. And this flat is adjacent to deeper water. And hopefully, I'm hoping that when the sun comes up and the temperatures rise a little bit, some rockfish are going to move in out of that deeper water, looking for the warmth of that shallow, and hopefully I can pick off a few. Right now, it's pretty chilly. It's probably in the low 40s. The water temperature right now is 41.5, so not ideal, but hopefully we're going to find at least a few today. Yeah, we're just continuing just to work down between these 2 points. These last 2 points, this whole shoreline here, like I said, has been very good in the past. And is really my last protected water before getting out in the main stem there. We're not going there today, not unless this wind lays down dramatically. But it's an absolutely beautiful day. Have too much wind. We were expecting maybe 10, 12 today, this time of the day. And it's more like 20, 25. But that's it's part of the nature of fishing down here in the lower part of the bay, is that the wind can be very unpredictable. I'm going to switch to a jerk bait here and then run this shoreline one more time, slowing down the presentation with the jerk bait. Maybe we can get something to bite, maybe the paddle tails of the presentation, keep them off that bottom. It's a little bit too fast, so we're going to give that a try. Up here at the open end, now working this jerk bait down this shoreline. We're being pushed by the wind back into the creek, which is a good thing, because then I can work the jerk bait much more slowly than I can the paddle tail by letting it suspend. Give it a little extra long pause between the jerks. So basically it's jerk, jerk, pause. And just give it a little bit of extra time on those pauses. jerkbait's an X-Wrap 10. Which is a great bait. These are awesome baits. Not the one I would prefer to use, but it's a little bit heavier than the Uzuri, which if the conditions were different, I'd probably would use first. But this is like a 4 1/4, and it's a little bit heavier, a little bit denser, and it's going to cast better in this wind, so that's why I chose the X-Wrap. But if fish are here, I'll bite it. There's no signs. Tide's starting to fall out now. You can see the mud bank beginning to emerge along the shoreline there. And I'm still continuing to see some bait in this area. Really, everything is what I expected it to be, except for this excessive wind. I was expecting half of this wind. Because of the wind, we can only fish about half of what I originally wanted to target. So, obviously, the wind is always problematic. Okay, we made a location change. The wind wasn't picking up, it was picking up even more so I couldn't get to where I wanted to be, where it was fishable. As you can see, the bright sunshine we had earlier up until about 10 o'clock has been hazed over by thin clouds. So we're really not going to get any warming the way I had hoped. And the wind keeping me off the best spots, and the really not getting any benefit from this sunshine as far as warming the water. I decided to make a move to another creek. This creek is a good bit smaller and is going to be wind blown in regard to the wind blowing water into the creek. Now the tide is dropping, but the wind looks like it's keeping the creek pretty full right now. So we got, kind of like a lot going on here. Not sure that we're going to find anything, but there's a couple places I want to check to see if we can pull a fish or two out of this situation, which is not, it's going downhill. So we're going to see what happens, and hopefully we'll catch some. All right, so I'm back in this creek and just running through this little channel that runs through the creek. What I'm finding is no fish, unfortunately, but I am finding bait in the lower sections of this area. So where I'm getting 4 and 5 feet of water, particularly 5 feet of water on this low tide, which would be 6 to 7 on the high tide, I'm finding the bait. So I'm sort of beginning to understand the behavior of the bait in regard to the behavior of the fish that I normally find in this location. So I guess that's probably the easiest way to explain it. So even though I'm not catching any fish, and probably at this point I'm not going to, this is just another day, more hours spent in understanding the behavior of the resident fish who have temporarily left their residence and obviously have moved to the seclusion and the safety and the warmth of deeper water. One thing I found is that the water on the outside of the creeks, the first creek and the second creek, was about 41 to 42 degrees. What I'm finding back here, back up in this more wind protected creek, is that the temperature is about 45.5, so about a 3 or 4 degree difference. But again, our sunshine remains hazy. It's a little bit better than it was, and we're not really getting, I don't think, any really solar change. I think this water back here is probably generally a bit warmer than the outside anyway. See me casting there, that's a drop off, probably about 1.5 feet, from about 3.5 to about 5 feet of water. And this is where those fish will come on this low tide. But obviously we're not going to see that today with these temperatures and the fact it's January. But certainly in the spring, summer, and fall, this is a very productive spot, and spots like this are very productive as well. So I think that's going to be about a wrap. Well, it's more pleasant up here in this creek without all that wind hitting you and blasting you out in the bay. But it doesn't mean we're going to find any more fish. All right, I think that's going to be a wrap. Okay, again, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. If February or January, February, the winter months in our area is very difficult. It's very difficult unless you're out there in on a boat and you're jigging and metals or jig heads and plastics, and jigging them up out of deep water. You know, it's all an education, so that's kind of the way I look at it. So no fish, but an absolutely beautiful day, winter day. If you like what you see, please subscribe, and please hit the like button so I know you're out there looking at it. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. I try and get back to everybody. I don't think I've missed anybody yet, either on Facebook or on the channel here. So that's it, guys. Until next time, tight lines, and we'll see you out here.